I was trapped in an abandoned high school basement. I broke out, but my old schoolteacher was waiting for me at the top of the stairs. I unlocked myself using the dead cop's key. It took so long, and the sheer agony pulsing from my impaled hand nearly drove me mad by the end. It felt like I'd plucked my own eye out, or chewed off a limb. It took pure pain and a hell of a lot of luck, but in the end, I was free, and I was going to get the old doctor out of here, even if he was the monster who caused this. I dragged the old criminal out of the smoking, half-burned dome by the scruff of his neck, my gun pointed straight to his temple. I marched him up the stairs, through the labyrinth as best as I could, forcing him to guide us out. Then we were in the basement, facing the final flight of stairs back up into the high school. Jamming the gun into the scruff of his back, I forced him to walk up. We finally collapsed in the main hallway. I threw aside my gun, wrapped my hand around the old man's neck softly, and just sat there on the floor. I was on my last legs, just trying to breathe. Panting. Inhaling the thick smoke in my lungs. The old man's breathing sounded asthmatic, wet, strained, and heavy. Awful, dragging hitches. He needs medical attention. Fast. Or else he's a goner. I dragged him up, then completely froze. Someone was coming up the basement stairs. Dragging, limping, shuffling steps. The hem of a skirt. Skirts. Hands trailing along the wooden railing. I heard it. I imagined it. Was I crazy for real this time? Finally? I turned, desperately trying to reach the basement door to slam it shut, but it creaked, squealing open on its own. Out stepped a burned woman. A blue blouse, once pristine, was now melted directly to the pencil-thin frame of its wearer. Her skirts were all charred, ripped, and tattered. Her feet were scraped, bloody, and bruised, with only one red high heel still on. And the face. Somehow, the face was the most terrifying thing of all. It was a thin face drawn tight with agony. It was burned in a perfect circle, just barely missing the brow and one cheek. The rest of the flesh was mottled black, gray, red, and yellow. Her teeth were exposed on one side where the lips had melted away. Her eyes were flat, dead, white orb, and then the ruined lids closed over them with a dry, horrific sound like moth wings flapping. She lurched forward, her hand lifting, then dropping. Her fingers looked like blackened claws from the fire. Smoke hissed from an opening in her brow, from her back, and from the sparse remaining few strands of her iron-gray hair. Her eyes were closed, looking exactly like my grandma in her open coffin, but this thing was moving. She staggered forward, skirts dragging against the linoleum floor. No, a better word would be shuffled. It wasn't clumsy. It was dead, piloted by something like a forgotten intelligence. An intelligence forgotten by all. Thrum 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 thrum. Her charred blouse was burned completely off near the ribs, exposing the melted fat and blackened skin underneath. A white rib was peeking out. Blood slittered down her brow and down her black cheek. Her eyes were closed, yet we could all hear her heartbeat perfectly. Dark. Deep. Heavy. Like a ritualistic drum beating in the quiet hallway. Her chest was shifting a little. She shuffled straight toward the doctor. I sprang away from him. My impaled hand was wrapped tightly with my own torn shirt. I had lost the old man's scalpel, but I still had the cop's revolver. Good. But was it empty? 6 shots. Ryan had got off a shot without hitting anything when he shot, and in the forehead. This thing. And I had shot a butterfly girl to bits in midair. I surely still had 1 bullet remaining. Even if I'd forgotten a fired shot, I had to try. I pointed the gun right at what had once been and right at the chest that was vibrating from that monstrous heartbeat. Damn you. Collapse. If only I had some bug spray, my industrial tanks of pesticide that could kill anything. I fired. Using one hand, braced hard against my torso, my teeth cracking from the effort, the bullet went wild and hit the wall. The shambling revenant completely ignored me. The doctor was convulsing now, dying already. The woman leaned beside him, smoothing his sparse hair with a burned, ruined hand flaking with black crispy skin. Then, a black blade shot directly through his skull from her mouth. Blood splattered across the floor. My stomach heaved. "Sorry, Jasmine." I got up, forced myself to look at the woman crouched over the dead doctor. Her butterfly feeding mechanism was impaled deep through his skull, and she was sucking greedily, her eyes closed permanently. Skin and flesh were flaking off her with every movement, but she became totally still, lost in silent pleasure as she killed him. I stepped right up to her and fired up close. Her head snapped sideways. Her proboscis jerked out of the doctor's head, splattering his brains everywhere. Smoke poured from her burned temple. She gurgled, the proboscis obstructing her human speech, before it retracted with a loud, wet thwop all at once, all shiny 4 feet of organic steel. She rose from her crouch, a corpse operated by a malevolent force, her eyes sealed shut. She turned her head toward me with a sickening creak. Her closed eyes were facing me. "You're not scary," I said, even as my stomach lurched. "You're just fucking disgusting." In that empty high school hallway, flanked by rusted lockers and cinder block walls, I faced the mournful Violet once more, trapped in the body of my deranged schoolteacher.